So EXP came out with a new buyer broker rep agreement, which is very easy to present and it makes talking compensation a little less intimidating. Now, EXP agents, you already have this. This is in your library, you have access to it. If you're a non-EXP agent, you want a copy of it, just reach out to me. I'll get you a copy, no worries. Anybody can use this document. Let's get into it. Okay, so right from the beginning here, which I like, it states here that the consumer has the right to work with a qualified licensed professional. That is you, right? So here it's saying that, look, you're making a good first step. You're reaching out to a qualified professional. This person is going to help you show properties, going to help you negotiate, it's going to walk you through that process. So kudos to you for working with a professional. So number one, properties, right? So on the properties here, you can choose the type of property the buyer's looking for. It could be land, could be residential, commercial, or other. Other would be more like multifamilies or investment property. But what I like about this is the geographic area. So you can really be specific as far as what area you cover with that buyer, and that's part of your conversation, right? As far as this is my area, this is where I'm comfortable with. So if you're going to purchase in this area, I'm your agent. Number two, length of the agreement. Well, that's up to you. Whatever you decide to do. Me, typically, I do 6 months. But if you want to do more, you want to do less, that's a conversation between you and your buyer. So number three, agency disclosure. So remember, this document here is a compensation agreement. It is not a representation agreement. And it expresses here that a separate document is going to be given to the consumer that expresses what your relationship is. And of course, in this case, you're going to be a buyer's agent. So make sure you're doing the mandatory relationship disclosure form alongside of this and going over what it is to be a buyer's agent. So number four, broker efforts. So this states here that you're going to operate in good faith, that you're going to do your best to help them find a property that's suitable for them. You'll help them negotiate. You will work with other brokers out there to cooperate and help find a property that fits their needs. So number five, for best experience. Now this is unique to our agreement. I've never seen this in any other agreement out there. What this does, it brings the conversation with the buyer to, hey, are you working with any other agent, right? And if you are you under contract with them? Because here's what they need to understand. If you're under contract with multiple agents, you may financially have to owe multiple people commissions, right? So this brings a conversation there, and then you can help educate them. If they're not working with anyone, great, right? Now you're all set. If they are, well then, you got to figure out, what to do there, because number one, is it a possible code of ethics violation? Number two, is it, are they under contract with someone, but is it a geographic location where it's only, if they buy in the Cape and Islands and you're buying in Worcester, so I would have that conversation with them and make sure that everyone is very clear as far as what their obligation is and what the responsibility is. So number six, the broker fee. Now I like the way this is written because again, it's very simplified, it's straightforward, and it's not intimidating. And it also lets the buyer know, listen, I'm going to try to get paid through the seller instead of collecting money from you. But we have to have this agreement in order for me to be able to ask the seller if I can get compensated directly from the seller, right? So let's get into it so you can understand what I'm talking about. So it reads here, buyer agrees to pay broker as provided below for any properties involving broker's efforts. And it reads from sections 4B to 4E, that's above. Now, no broker fee is due if broker's efforts involving only locating and presenting suitable properties for consideration, section 4A. What does that mean? Well, that means that, listen, if you're really not behaving as a buyer's agent and you're just telling the buyer, hey, there's a property over there that you might like, right? I mean, or maybe, drip campaign or something like that. And you're like, and you're showing them like, hey, there's a property there. But you're not really involved, you're not showing the property to them, you're not negotiating, you're not doing any of that, then if you have this agreement, you're not entitled to anything. The broker fee is not set by law and is fully negotiable. The broker fee shall be due and payable upon successful closing. Again, we're only going to collect compensation if the deal closes. There are other agreements out there that state that regardless if it closes, that the buyer may still have to compensate the agent. We're not saying that. We're just saying if it goes on record, title transfers, then yes, we've earned our compensation and we're expecting compensation. If buyer enters into an agreement to purchase any property within blank days following the expiration or earlier cancellation of this agreement, the buyer shall pay the broker fee to broker upon closing. That is our protection period clause. right? So here I probably would put in, 90 days. So this is if the buyer goes back to that particular property that you showed, or maybe, you had an offer and it got rejected or whatever it is, but they go back to that particular property and they move forward with someone else, then you're still entitled to compensation if they buy that property within the days that you have there. I would recommend 90 days, whatever you decide. The broker fee shall be in U.S. currency and paid at the time and as a condition of closing. The agreement shall act as escrow instructions for payment of the broker fee to broker. This section 6 shall survive the expiration or earlier cancellation of the agreement. And these are the two options that you have. You can either do a percentage, and it could be of the gross or net. I know it reads here gross. If it is the net, just cross it out and write a net. Our new updated document will have that checkbox there. Or it could be for a flat fee, whichever you decide. Just remember, you can only collect what you have here. That is the maximum. So whatever number you put there, that is the maximum you can earn. If the builder's giving a bonus, if the seller's willing to give a larger concession, you cannot receive that per this agreement. Okay, so that difference will go to the buyer. So consider that when you're going through this with your buyer. So this section here helps you explain the compensation payout to the buyer, right? And right now we have two options. So the first one is, hey, the buyer could receive a concession from the seller, and then the buyer can pay you directly at closing. Great. Or the seller can pay you, the buyer broker or the buyer brokerage, right, directly, and we get compensated directly from the seller. We recommend number two. I think that's going to be the easiest way. The pros and cons between the two is that if there is a concession, that means that there's money being rolled in. Maybe you might have an appraisal issue depending on the market or the property that you're making an offer on. So requesting it from the seller is probably most likely going to be the best bet, and it's going to be easier for the transaction. And then again, underneath it states that we will never receive any additional funds other than what's been specified here. So whatever the amount here of the compensation was, that is the maximum that you will receive. Number 7, additional terms. Now, there's a couple things I would want to add to this document. Number 1, keep in mind, this is not an exclusive right to buy. This is just a compensation agreement. Now, if you want to make it into an exclusive right to buy, then I would add the following language. I would state that this is an exclusive right to buy agreement and that the buyer agrees and acknowledges to work exclusively with, Louis Garcia, whatever whoever you are as the agent in there, and that's it. Okay, so you have that as well. Also, remember, if you are a designated agency office or if you practice dual agency, you still need consent. So I would add that language in here too, right? I would say, the buyer consents to designated agency, also consents to dual agency. Now, remember, you're going to provide this with your mandatory disclosure form. The mandatory disclosure form has that language on there, right? It explains what a dual agency is, as well as designated agency. If you want the formal consent. You can use MAR Form 711 for consent to designated agency, or MAR Form 710 that gives you consent to dual agency, right? However your brokerage operates, or if you're an agent, you don't practice dual agency, then leave that out. Have a conversation with your buyer, in the event that does happen. Maybe your buyer's interested in one of your listings, how you would handle that if that was to come up. Number 8, other buyers. Now, again, this is language here too that I like. It tells the buyer that, listen, you have other clients, and those clients might be interested in the same property, right? So understand that, whatever we discuss is confidential. If we're submitting offers or what have you, those offers are confidential. You will never disclose, whatever you're doing with another buyer and vice versa. So number 9, cancellation. So now this does give you a cancellation clause for both you and the buyer. For whatever reason, sometimes we get together with folks and it just doesn't work out. So as long as you do it in writing, we're okay. However, if the property is under agreement, then we can't cancel this. You're still entitled to compensation. And then at the bottom, everybody signs off and you're good and you're all set, right? And that's the form. All right, so as you can see, look, this is a very easy document to present. It's only 2 pages. It's large print. When this document was designed, it was designed as a natural conversation, right? The flow of a natural conversation when you're talking to a buyer. We get into where I can help you, what my duties are, what my responsibilities are, what my value is, and then we get into compensation, and then we finalize it. Okay, so I think this will give you an advantage when you have other buyer brokers coming up with like a 5-page agreement, like read this, right? Go talk to your attorney and get back to me. So I think this is going to be really, really terrific. If you have questions on it, please reach out to me. Let me know. Shoot me an email. Leave a comment here. That'd be terrific. EXP agents, you have this, right? This is in your library. It's there. Non-EXP agents, if you want this document, it's open source. Reach out to me. I'll send you a copy. I'll send your broker a copy. Whatever you want. You're welcome to it. Okay. All right, folks. Well, listen. Good luck out there. Happy selling, and until next time.